You go now.
Good to go.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Michael Massie with Frontstretch. Here is Daniel Hemric, the driver of the number 11 Xfinity car for Colleague Racing. How you doing today, Daniel?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. We both had some rush hour moments getting here, I believe, but we're here. That's all that matters. First off, I want to say how excited are you to be back here at Richmond?
Yeah, I love this place. Man, I tell you, I've said it's probably one of my favorite racetracks that we go to. Thankful to have been here many times, I guess, over the last handful of years, and I don't know, from coming to the first time in an Xfinity car, sitting on the pole, and really not really having a clue about how to get around this place. Just always fortunate enough to find speed, and I don't know, it just reminded me so much of everything that you try to focus on as a kid racing. And when you come here to Richmond, you got to kind of apply all that stuff. So it's fun to be back here, and I love this place.
Gotcha. And how do you feel about the performance so far? It feels like you guys started off a little rocky. I mean, 10th place finishes, I'm calling it rocky.
No,
but the past 2 weeks, it feels like, 2nd place, 6th place, feels like you're building momentum a little bit. Do you feel it that way, or?
A little bit. I think, the one thing within all that, right, is very, very different racetracks that we've finished where we finished. And in the grand scheme of things, you got to do that stuff, right? I mean, obviously I've been fortunate enough to make multiple runs at championships and fortunate enough to knock one of them out of the park. And at the end of the day, you got to get on a run where you can show up anywhere, any style of racetrack on any given day, and you got to be able to contend. We're still not leading the laps. We're still not, strongly inside that top 2 or 3 band like we need to be. But at least the finishes as of late have led to the fact that there's light in the tunnel of getting to that point. So I like what we're doing, and hopefully we can keep that up.
Yeah. Now, after experiencing that win and that championship, does a run like a 10th place finish, is that a disappointment, or is that still a good day?
I mean, nobody wants to run 10th.
Yeah.
No race team. I promise you our car owner, Matt Colleague, does not want to run 10th. So, it can be disappointing, but it can only be as disappointing as the positives and negatives you take from it, right? So, I think through our finishes this year, the 10th place runs we've had this year, I think from the box score side of things, that was actually better than what our raw speed was on that particular day. So when you do that on those days, you have to look at parts of that as a win, because you have to do that in order to make yourself a serious, championship contender. If those are your rocky days, as you said, right? I'm quoting you. If those are your rocky days, and those aren't terrible days.
Sure. How's the knee doing now? It looks like you're getting around pretty good now.
Yeah, the knee came a substantial amount of distance for the better over the last, probably, I'd say 8 to 10 days. I think I said that right before COTA, that I felt like I was actually kind of over the hump where I could sit down in a chair and feel fairly normal within the mobility of my leg. And to get in these race cars, once I got that kind of back to where it needed to be, didn't even notice in a race car. So that's a good thing. Obviously, there's still a long road ahead as far as how to go about actually fixing the issue, but in the grand scheme of things right now, the team around me within doctors and whatnot and therapists, they've all helped kind of strengthen everything else around the knee regarding the injury, because it can't be fixed obviously through therapy. So just having to strengthen everything else up, and it's been good.
Gotcha. So it's not impacting inside the race car, but like the midweek prep, or like the working out stuff, like, is it kind of messing you up there anything at all, or?
Obviously, the first, I guess I'm probably 5 weeks out from injuring it. The first 3 weeks was really tough, but every day it got better. But right after, just trying to figure out how to still be active, how to still get your cardio in, how still to go about your daily regimen in my process of preparing for a race week. That side of it was tough, but like I said, every day it got better, and over the last 10 days, it's felt like pretty standard routine back to what it was pre-knee injury.
Gotcha. So this year, on a different note, Colleague has added Kyle Busch and Chandler Smith to the roster. How have they meshed with the Colleague culture?
It's been great, man. Obviously, Kyle himself in particular, a champion in his own right, and probably one of the best to ever do it within our sport. Brings so much to the table, so much knowledge, and so much, he's so direct about what he wants and what he needs. And some of the stuff, it's easy to hear and agree with, and some of it's not from the team side. So, it makes everyone step back and look at themselves and go, okay, Are we going down the right path? Or do we have the right parts and pieces? Do we have the right people? Having a guy like Kyle kind of lets you evaluate all that stuff, and that's been fun. Obviously, he's wanted to finish better than he has, and no different than those 10th place finishes we talked about earlier, right? But in the grand scheme of things, having somebody of that kind of knowledge and that kind of drive to push everybody, it makes everybody want to be better.
A big topic this week has been aggression in the Cup Series. I think it's across all 3 series, really. Have you had to alter your driving style at all to kind of be more aggressive to match it, or are you still the same old Daniel Hemric?
Man, I tell you, you have to be able to adapt to whatever situation you're in. And I think I'm usually, the better I feel about what I have within my race car and how confident I feel in it, if I can make certain moves, then my aggression is way higher. I'd say I'm guilty of whenever I don't like what I'm feeling or whatnot, then I see myself kind of back that down. So in the grand scheme of things, though, I think a lot of the things, no different than some of the comments I saw some of the Cup guys made after last week's race at Coda. That car is so rigid and so tough that they can go in there and physically use the car up because there was really no penalty. The Xfinity car, there's a little bit to be said about that as well. I mean, not as sturdy and tough as the next gen car, but in the grand scheme of things, since going to a composite body, we don't have the ramifications of the steel body, right? You can't steel body, you touch the fence, you knock your crush panel out, your day is done. Or if you poke a hole in the nose, I mean, your day is done. Or push a fender in. The composite body, as we've seen, pushes out, no different than the next gen car. So that's what, in my opinion, is a huge culprit of the aggression and why it's ramped up like it has. And at the end of the day, though, what are you gonna do? Just say, okay, yeah, you guys go be aggressive. I'm not going to be. Well, no, because as a competitor, you got to figure out a way to thrive. And if that's what we got to do, that's the way we're all having to adapt to it. But it doesn't necessarily make us right.
That's a good answer. I appreciate that. Last year, you ran some Cup races for Colleague. I know they got that 13 car out there for Chandler, but has there been any talk about you trying to get into it for some races? Or
I told Matt I'm here. He pays me, so you tell me when and where to show up, and I'll be there to drive that thing. But no, it's cool to see them run that 3rd car. Obviously running it here at Richmond, the first time since since the unfortunate situation out at Daytona where they missed the show. But when they bring out another car like that, they can push the envelope. They can try different things. You get different crew members that can get reps within that environment, and that kind of the trickle effect goes throughout the whole shop. Because I mean, somewhere throughout the week, you're bringing an extra car. Everybody probably had to step up from their individual job, their normal job at the shop, to do something else, prepare a whole different race team. That's a couple weeks a year race team. So it's fun to see everybody kind of rise to the occasion. I'm curious to see how they do with it.
Is getting back to Cup a goal of yours, or do you like it in the Xfinity Series?
No, I mean, I've started racing at 5 years old with the goal of Cup racing full time for a long time. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to get there once, and then had to go on the rebound side of things and try to rebuild, I guess, if you will. I was fortunate enough to do that, and thought those opportunities were coming to go back full time Cup racing, and it just hasn't really worked out for the right reasons. But I know when I signed on here at Colleague Racing, I was very hopeful that down the road, their vision, their long-term plan, that I could be a part of that at the Cup level. And there's no promises. I never know how it's going to shake out. So I just got to continue to do my job at the Xfinity Series level and see how it shakes.
All right. Now I'll send you out a more of a fun one. Sunday, I'm talking to Chandler Smith before the race. Anything you would ask him?
Well, Chandler Smith. Oh man, what would I ask Chandler Smith? Chandler Smith, I've seen Chandler race since I felt like he was 5 years old, which he was really like 12. But watching him walk into a super late line racetrack, he's about this tall. I guess I just asked that that little 12-year-old kid from Georgia if he ever thought, is he in Georgia, right?
Yeah,
South
Georgia.
Carolina. I
Georgia,
confused myself. I started talking about it. Asking if he ever thought he'd have an opportunity to strap into Cup cars. We all dream of it, we all think about it, but do you ever really think you have the opportunity? So to see him grinding it out at that age, I'd be curious to know if he ever thought it's possible.
For sure. All right, well, that's Daniel Hemric. He'll be driving tomorrow.
This is Wyatt Watson with Frontstretch.com. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out one of the 2 videos beside me. Go to Frontstretch.com for more racing content.